Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Spotlight Hour. Today, we've got a very exciting guest, Dr. Kai. Dr. Kai, thank you so much for being here with us today. Tell everybody a little bit about who you are.
Okay. Thank you for having me here. So I go by Kai, but my name is Dr. Kai Carvalhais. I am depth psychologist. I work basically with trauma, anxiety, depressions, using very specific techniques. Some of them I developed, and I really use a Jungian approach on trauma. So I work with archetypes and complex um, that we develop through trauma. So sometimes I use hypnosis to take people to meet their shadows. Other times I also do talk therapy where together we realize what keeping people stuck. My dissertation was in how use hypnotherapy and past lives regression to awake archetypal potentials that we bring with us, but because of trauma, we are not able to explore. And use a little bit of mindfulness and other techniques that are more basic, but most of my dream work also is one of my specialties. And it's basically what I do.
So, Kai, you approach your therapy in a very interesting way. It's definitely a bit more unique as well. I'm really curious, I know I've talked about this a little bit before we started recording here, but what was that journey like, and what was that kind of awakening moment for you that got you interested in this more I don't wanna necessarily call it an alternative approach, but it is alternative to the mainstream?
It is. Well, I would say that for a long time, I don't see myself as, you know, um, I see myself more as a holistic practitioner. And since very young, I have been, working with meditation, yoga, and other mindfulness, other approaches towards my problems. And with that, I became more and more interested in a depth approach. And that's, after going through school, I have been in school all my life. And after doing, undergrad in economics and business and a little bit of law, I moved into other fields where even in nursing school, and I did my master in clinical social worker work. And then after that, I started like thinking more to this um, alternative, I would call alternative or holistic approach. And then that's when I found Pacifica Graduate Institute and decided to go deeper into my PhD in that area.
So, what was it I'm guessing there was something kind of in your I guess, your origin story, your upbringing that got you interested in all of this. Who was it or what was it that it brought you down this path originally?
Um, since very young, I have been interested in spirituality. So I was born in Brazil and moved to United States 22 years ago. And since like I was 12 years old, I have been reading more and more about, other I was raised until 12 Catholic, but I had access to spiritism, to, Buddhism, to Taoism, Hinduism, and all these practices brought me more in relationship with the source that I call, right? Or the divine, or, some call God. And because of that, I felt the necessity of bringing spirituality into therapy. So the depth approach, even a Jungian approach, gives me the chance to reconnect, to help my patients to reconnect themselves with something that is bigger than our physical bodies. So there is that approach of mind, body, and spirit. So
I absolutely love that holistic approach. It for some reason, it absolutely just speaks to me from everything that I've read and studied, 'cause I love personally, Jung was one of the very first that I started studying, reading, looking into. I actually just got another book based off of his studies and his work, and I'm very excited to open it up and read it. It's all about shadow work, which is, I know, going to be a very fun experience. Should we go through that
maybe your
process?
shadow or awakening. I call my practice when I do this work, awakening your shadow, right? Is a very interesting journey, not easy, but really helps you to deal with some things that you are not aware of. And then when you become, you are able to process and integrate the shadows into you. You don't get rid of
I
them.
love that thought about it, that it's not trying to get away from it or get rid of it, but
Yes.
to come face to face with it,
Mm,
to be able to almost the way I see it is open up a dialogue with that shadow side of yourself
yes.
and embrace yourself from a holistic standpoint, everything you are. When did
Yeah.
you first kind of discover your fascination with Jung and his work? What was it, was it something in particular that happened, or were you just doing, you said you were studying Buddhism, Taoism, and all of this, did you just stumble across it one day? What was it?
Uh, I have been reading because there is some groups in Brazil, spiritual groups. They work with Jung and spiritism. So I am aware of this work that they do, and I have been watched some lectures and becoming more familiar with that for a long time. Until a friend of mine, without mention to him, he lives in Brazil, and he sent me a link through a lot of many lectures that these groups have been doing, and I decided to watch them. At the time, I was already reading some books written, by Jung. And I think it was a coincidence. Everything came together at the right time when I was ready to um, to go deeper into my career path. Mhm.
It's fascinating. I'm really curious too. How did you end up, you know, coming to this side of things with your work and focusing and wanting to share this with others and provide therapy for people through this modality? What was that?
Well, usually people use CBT, cognitive behavioral therapy, or solution focus, or um, ACT, acceptance commitment therapy, and other modalities that I think are great, but they don't really take people in a deep journey into the soul. So when I say soul, I'm not referring to the soul as it doesn't have a spiritual connotation. It can be called soul when we are talking about spirit, and but it can be also yourself, that Jung calls the capital self. So I really believe that therapy needs to be done when people are able to connect to something that goes beyond this surface. All these therapies are great, but they don't go deeper. They help people to deal with some problems, but sometimes in life, when people are more interested in getting to know the self, they need to go deeper. And if you don't use some of these approaches, you can't. And people that are in suffering or looking for meaning of life, they only can achieve some of these goals when they learn more about the self. And learn about the self opens a door for you to dive into a long, long journey of self-knowledge and self development. So I think that's why I just no, that's the way to go for myself. Some people use, um, some of psychedelic approaches. What I'm not against to, but my approach is more in a different journey. And talking about that, I use a model that I call a fractal model that has a lot to do with psychedelics because it's the repetition of the image that amplify and become more and more. There is a replication of the same image again and again, and I see that as patterns that we carry inside of us, and we need to learn about them. And sometimes, if cause suffering, change them. Then we develop new patterns. And I call this a fractal model. Actually, I develop ontological and epistemological approaches for research that are fractal models.
Congratulations. You see, from the passion you have in your voice, just explaining these things, it's contagious. You're making me want to learn more and get into this topic more. I want to say something that you mentioned earlier, and when you were saying deeper, you look more deeper, right? For those of you who can't see the video, every time Kat was going deeper, she was making the inward motion. So when you mean deeper, a lot of times people that have lost their way, they look outwards, right? Instead of realizing the problem maybe within or something really self-assessment, right? That's why a lot of therapists like to use this, like self-assessment first. Now, when you see that, right, you see that they're looking outward and not inward. I'm sure your heart lights up because you know there's a lot of work to be done here. What what are some questions you ask for clients, or what are some patterns you see when you know that there needs to be work done deeper inward?
hmm And I just want to say something about deeper. One day I was doing some kind of meditation, and I was like asking myself, maybe, or something beyond that, what means when you go deeper, or what means to access knowledge? And I had a very strong image showing me a tunnel going inside of my soul, not outside. So the arrows pointing outside, right, is usually sometimes what we are looking for answers, right? Oh, God, please, or the divine, please give me the answers. And the answers are inside of us. Yes, we can have some help from, I believe, from our guides, but the answers are inside of us. And I forgot the second question.
The second question was, when you see somebody who, you know that they need to look inward, what are some signs that you see and they can say, "Yes, this person needs work done inwards?"
You know, it's it's not, that therapy is not about my opinion, right? I can really see some things and maybe help with some suggestions, but the person is the one that's going, my clients, my patients are the ones that are going to identify the patterns. And with the work that we do together, they are the ones that are going to say, I need to change that. This is not good for me. I'm not telling them what to do. I have my truth, but each one of us have our own truth, right? And it's not up to me to tell people what to do. But yeah, sometimes you see the repetition of the same things taking you to the same outcomes. So if you want to change something, you have to change. I mean, if you want to change the outcomes that are like really bringing suffering, you need to change something that you have been doing. And usually you can identify very specific patterns during the process. And sometimes people talk also about generational trauma, right? These are patterns coming from before. that we carry maybe in our DNAs, who knows? But we carry from our grandparents, parents, and we keep repeating the same, saying that we are not doing that. But there are a lot of truth in that, in this passing through trauma. So when we say, no, I'm not this person, I need to change maybe the way I see the world, I need to change my worldview, I need to change some beliefs that maybe are not right or correct for me at the moment. So it's all about changes, promoting changes constantly. That's, I think, what the therapy is about.
Kai, for somebody listening to this and just really, really resonating with everything we're talking about, what do you think would be the best place for somebody to start if they wanted to start this journey on their own?
Well, that's a good question. Of course, Jungian books are very good, but they are very deep. So there are some books that can be that really talks about Jung approach, but they are more basic. But the problem is, I don't see a lot, unless you are specialized in this area, I don't see a lot of resources that take people into a journey from the beginning until they get more and more acquainted with the ideas. And that's the reason why I want to develop some e learning classes that will help people to learn more about these concepts and do their own journey. Therapy is great, but if you are not able to go to therapy, if you're not able to find the right practitioner, if you don't have the financial resources at the time to pay for, you can do some of the work. And learning the basics help you to keep looking for more information that I call information, right? The waves in the quantum field. So to go to a more deep state, because it's not just about learning concepts, it's about journeying. What means you go to a deep state, maybe of meditation, or a deep state of understanding that takes you to a place where you are able to elaborate and understand very complicated concepts and then understand more about yourself. That's why I call this a long journey, but we all can do that. That's what I think.
I completely agree with you too. I think that there's definitely a want and a need for resources, specifically exploring this topic and something that sets it out in a roadmap, something that's easily accessible and where you can go at your own pace. Because going down this journey is somebody who's been trying to guide myself through it through reading and listening for a few years now. Um, Being able to have something easily digestible and to be able to go at your own pace with it is very important because this is a journey that some people may embark on and it may last years, years, many, many years, more than 10. Some people, they may want to have a quicker approach to it, which is everyone goes at their own pace going through this learning. And I
And
think having something like you're talking about would be very, very valuable.
the thing is, if you want to go too quick, too fast, you may end up. There is something that they call when you break your psyche in several parts, and this can cause dissociation. So, yes, you have to learn your own pace and know when you can, that there are moments that you need to stop and process, and there are moments that you are going to walk through the next path in life. But if you push yourself too hard, too fast, you may not be able to get what you want, because I think that's what I call be gentle with yourself. Give yourself time to learn. Give yourself time to change. Changes are not easy. So it requires us really a kindness with ourselves and also time to follow a journey step by step.
Kai, why do you wanna share this with people?
Why? Hmm. Since I was very young, I always had this feeling that I wanted, it is a feeling more than a thought, that I wanted to help others. And I really believe that if each one of us work in this self-development, if you work on our traumas, on our suffering, we are all going to benefit from it. We are interconnected. We are not alone. So thinking, oh no, I will do all the work by myself is an illusion of the mind. So if I'm here and I can influence others, the others will influence others. And this is going to be maybe a fractal development where we are going all be immersed together in the journey. So I believe that the planet, our Earth planet, needs a lot of changes, and they are only going to happen if we get to a point where we exchange ideas in pro of all of us. So that's why I decided to do therapy and provide therapy to others.
I love that.
It really is an inspiring method to think about it. And each has their own, origin story. I think that's great wanting to share resources. Um, Now you're seeing more and more people are starting to look for things themselves, whether, they're buying courses online. Yogis have been appearing more and more on my YouTube. So there people are finding their own ways to go about spirituality. Having those resources available now that everything can be put online, how do you find that makes your life much more simple?
What do you mean? You ask for myself or for the others?
For yourself and for others, for having these resources, everything being online right now, right? Having access to so many resources, so many videos, self-proclaimed prophets in within this industry too. Uh, you know, it can definitely be a great point with, good resources out there, but it's also bad because you have people who don't really know as much and they're starting to put out resources like this. So you have people thinking, is this right? Isn't this right? This is my own version and this is how I'm understanding this versus you who have something who studied this for years and you know exactly what you're telling people. And putting it all online obviously makes your job more simple, but you have the other side of things,
Yeah.
right?
I think people need to be critical about what they are reading, the information that they have been accessing. And I think it's a good thing to do like a background check, getting about that, but to check what people carry with them, what credentials people have. Because yes, you see a lot of people promoting things or creating things, but they have no foundation. How can, it's dangerous. Even with other, approaches, even with psychedelics and all, people need to know where they are going. If they find the right practitioner with experience and a beautiful foundation, yes, it's safe. But they need to find a safe place to go and not believing everything that they have access online. I think after COVID, the thing has been exploded, right? We are all doing online. I only provide online therapy for individual therapy. So I am like, yes, people have much more access, including to my service. But also, you see a lot of people providing other approaches and selling their, they call products that I don't think is products. I think it's information, but selling all of this without without responsibility. You are responsible for what you offer. So people that are new or people that are looking at, sometimes people are desperate, in despair, right? So they are going to look for everything. But if you start looking for all the information available, you are going to get very confused. What I'm saying is go to one place, go to the second, the third, and then that, and find out, use your own judgment, analyze if it works for you and if it makes sense, and also what this person is bringing, what kind of education, what kind of foundation, what this person that's providing the information is bringing with her or him or they, but in a way that will add to your journey and not promote more anxiety or distort values or bring you to a very dark place. I think that's one thing. If you're looking for things and you start feeling dark and dark inside, maybe it's time to reflect and say, this is not right for me. I need to find something else. What's great, you can find a lot of online information online, but just use your, common sense and your own judgment. But be open too, to the new things. But be careful. That's what I
Kai, on that note, you were talking about how this work can bring you to a dark place if you're getting your information from the wrong sources, if you're not going at the right pace. But I wonder for you, as somebody who's working with individuals one on one, day after day, exploring the some some cases really the darkest recesses of one's soul.
Mhm.
How do you what have you learned is the best method or techniques, strategies, whatever you want to call it, to balance your own well-being, especially your mental well-being while digging through these deep and dark parts of other people?
It's a combination, right? I think everybody needs a vacation. Take your time, go to a place, and really rest. But also, exercising. You know, um, I bike, I run, I swim, do yoga, dance, find your source of enjoyment, of your source of, joy, and and meet people, go out with friends, balance your spiritual life with your work life. If you are just work, 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 I work hard and I play hard, you're going to get to a place that's not very good. I would say. I think you need to learn, yes, work hard, but when it's too much, take your time. And again, be gentle with yourself. Allow, accept who you are. Sometimes we need time off, and sometimes we need to go in nature or at the beach and restore our energy. Sometimes we need sources of um, spiritual knowledge. All these holistic techniques, Reiki, massage, and so many other things that are available. But we have to learn how to balance life, Otherwise, I don't think life is just work, work. We have to um, find ways to rest sometimes and breathe.
Breath work. Breath work is very important, and you can do it. The best part, you can do it anywhere at any time.
Yes. And you can move the prana, right? Through the body. So I have some training in yoga. So I use always this kind of, that's why I think it's important to learn. So you can learn from everywhere, but know how to apply to yourself too. So, right? Pranayama, and move the chi, do some holistic work with energy, whatever serves you, whatever you are aligned to. And we change. So today, maybe you are aligned to this kind of approach. Maybe tomorrow you find something else that you really like. But don't jump from one to another without doing the work before moving.
Kai, I need you to hurry up and put all of this into something online so I can buy it. I want to be your first customer.
Great.
I absolutely love this.
That's
Like, I want to switch gears a little bit and ask you kind of what your journey was like as you were coming to America and it's starting up. How did your journey go after you finished up school? Did you join an agency? Did you just go and start your private practice right off the bat?
mhm. No, when I came to United States, I I was still working the business area, so I had a business, and for some time, not many years, I had a business with my ex, so we worked together. But after that, my soul so like calling for something that would go beyond what I was doing at the time. I already had all this spiritual knowledge, concepts, and practice, but I want to use more in my professional area. So I went to school, and my master was in clinical social work. So is a long path. You go to school, you is a master program, and then you have to go and do 2 years of supervision after finishing it. Then, then when you have your license, you pass all the tests and all. Um, After that, I went to work in a hospital, in a psychiatric hospital. I did that not for too long. Then then I went to work for agency, also not for too long. Then I start like working in a practice that we share spaces. Then pandemic came. That's when I said, no, now it's time. It's giving me the chance to use the online technology to do more. And then that's when I said, no, and it's time for me to develop a little bit more to go beyond that. So I was working full time and also going to school. I always did that. What's not easy, but you can do. If someone's listening, I would say, you can do. You can do all these things, but you need to be very organized and take time for self care, right?
Very important. Very
Mhm.
important to find that balance.
Yeah. So today I have my own practice. My schedule is basically full, but I always have openings. But yeah, today I work for myself, but I have to go through the journey of learning, and it's not bad. When you work with others, you have supervision, you have others guiding you, the right people. You learn a lot.
What was one of the, I would say, most impactful things that you learned from starting your own practice that you think would be good to share with others that maybe gives them a little shortcut or a heads up for something to look out for?
Legally, I think you need to learn how to open your solo proprietorship or your LLC. It depends what you want and how protect you are. Find some help. I did all by myself, most of the things. But sometimes I had to have someone, a CPA, helping me with my books. I always knew how to work with QuickBooks, for example, so I did all my um, administrative work. So had some a company helping me with something. I don't think we can do all alone, actually. So h- looking for help when you need that, do take some class in business if it's the case, because it's not just about therapy; it's about how to run your own business, and you have to be very proactive. And today, right? And that's one of the things that really I didn't do very well is really um, doing online marketing. And
That's what we're here for.
I know. But that's the thing. I had my schedule. I had all the plans, right? Teaching. Oh, by the way, I was also teaching. I was a professor at the uh, UALR at Little Rock for a while, for 6 years. I taught there. But doing all these things is hard to really know if you are doing the right thing. So be very organized. taking class, know what you want, and specialize. I think because today everybody's offering too much, it's hard to decide to, oh, I'm going to work with this therapist, but I don't know why. So specialize in your area. If it's trauma, if it's a specific approach, if it's psychedelic therapy, if it is a spiritual journey, or if it's Jungian. So learn how to provide the best service that you can do, but having something extra to offer.
I love how that kind of brings us full circle back to where we started. Being able to journey inwards and go through that experience to better understand, to deeper understand what you feel called to do, which direction you should go, and how to be able to provide the best care and best service to those you're going to work with.
Yeah, that's right.
Thank Kai, this has been absolutely amazing. I know we could talk for an hour more, maybe a good 3 or 4 hours more.
Maybe,
We won't hold you for any longer. Thank you so much for joining us today.
maybe me. Hmm.
This has been an absolute pleasure. I've very much enjoyed this conversation.
Thank you.
Thank you, Kai. Until next time.
Until next time.